Alrighty, members, time for a flash update. Look, it's Friday. The weekly candle's starting to look okay. We've held this main uptrend line. Momentum's starting to turn around. I think a lot of things that we always look for at a bottom, sentiment. I think I posted the other day that the consensus view had basically become that we were going down when we'd already gone down 50%. And up here, the consensus was, oh, what's your pick? 100 grand, 200 grand, 300 grand, where do you think we're going? So, look, negative funding rates, positive funding rates up here, all those extremes in sentiment, and we've had a pretty good bounce. Some nice volume come in, momentum indicators are starting to turn around. So, look, I think things are looking okay. Only thing I'd say is that there's been a lot of bad news, a barrage of bad news. And as I had the write-up about the other day in the group, this is kind of what we see when the big boys at Mission Control want to accumulate more. So often when you get these accumulation style patterns, you get sort of one more push down. Maybe we've had that, or maybe we get one more. Now I think, again, it would be a gift to get anywhere under 30k. That some exchanges like Binance didn't even get below last time. Others did wick down below 30, let alone into the low 20s. I just don't think it would stay down there very long at all, if we even get down there. Markets tend to turn around and leave a lot of people to chase them. And I always talking about you're better off having your ticket to the train. You don't want to be wondering, oh, is there going to be a pullback when it starts to take off without you? So that's kind of the way I'm viewing things. Now let's have a quick look at the news cycle. Then we're going to finish off with some more charts because I think some altcoins have got some interesting setups and there's some interesting narratives. But basically, macro point of view, starting to get these numbers, 5% inflation, biggest we've seen in over a decade. And these we adjust for inflation, or when we adjust for, the interest rates that are still at zero mostly around the world, you've got these sort of real interest rates of -4 or 5%. So that explains why, gold and silver have been pretty favorable. Tell me that technical analysis doesn't work. We've been watching these beautiful patterns break out, retest, off to the races. So what did I say? That gold and silver will take off when everyone loses interest. So everyone was messaging me, how do I buy gold and silver up here? When I'm saying, now's not the time to buy, guys. When retail are piling in and the lines are out the door at Perth Mint and Ainsley Bullion, the time to buy was back here when we were talking about it and saying no one was interested. Be patient, you wait for your pullback. We've kind of had that. Momentum indicators turn around and we could be setting up for that next leg higher in a major bull market on a high time frame. Now, things are out of control in terms of macro money printing. I was speaking to friends who were saying they've got so much money they just don't even know where to park it. Real estate's overvalued, stock market's stretched, they're taking profits there. That's why we're seeing more money come into crypto. Even though it's a bit more speculative or whatnot, people have just got too much money. And the problem the Fed kind of have is that none of that is getting into the hands of businesses or individuals who need it. It's all being concentrated in the wealthy. The RBA are worried about people saving money. So this all ties together with the financial system kind of breaking down or not working or coming to the end of its life at a time when this other parallel financial system is just exploding. Jim Bianco, a guy I've recently become friends with, we've chatted for over an hour, a couple of times this week. It's been awesome. But people are starting to realize the power of stable coins and synthetic assets. I spoke about how stable coins and Ethereum and DEXs, these are all going to become the rails of global payments. Forget about the dollar system or this euro dollar and all that. Crypto is just going to replace all of that, and it's starting to happen pretty quickly. Visa have adopted stablecoins, and banks are now using protocols and DeFi and whatnot. But this is all going to become even more important as the power struggle kicks off. These DAOs that I keep talking about, because the crackdowns are coming, they're already starting, and we're going to get into that now. Three major developments that have made Bitcoin, I guess, and crypto more attractive. The El Salvador news. Bitcoin's now an official asset class. It's got ETFs, not in the US, but it's got every type of financial asset in some country now. And this other one they've started throwing out about wasting energy usage. Well, Bitcoin is a legitimate asset class. You can already borrow against it. Coinbase, these crypto exchanges are becoming the new banks. Now, I do love that Bitcoin is getting into DeFi. There's been a bit of stuff being thrown around recently about this project Sovereign, which is actually an awesome project. And I chatted with these guys today briefly. I love that DeFi is coming to Bitcoin, but it's on rootstock, it's on a smart chain. So this is kind of like being on Polygon or XDAI on Ethereum or something like that. So Bitcoiners are claiming that this is all better and whatnot, but it's it's basically the same. Wrapping Bitcoin or having rootstock Bitcoin. So I don't like this stuff when they start to get all ours is better than yours and misleading people. But I do love the fact that it's coming. Now, this project's got a pretty high market cap. It's been pumped up a fair bit, but other than that, I do like it, and I would have wanted to invest, but I don't like to chase things I think kind of hyped and well known and already possibly overvalued. I've spoken about all these things that are still bubbling away in the background, and these narratives will come back at different stages, but the bull case isn't over for ETH at all. We're starting to see a lot of projects scale. Everyone's talking about Polygon at the moment, but there's heaps out there that people aren't talking about yet. But only a few weeks ago when I said that ETH's going to scale within a matter of weeks and it's going to surprise people, well, look, eComi jumping over to ETH. Who's the little Aussie music project Emanate? They've come over to Ethereum. So yes, I know some projects are going to other chains, and it's awesome to see cross-chain and multi-chain exploding as well with awesome new innovation. But hey, let's just remember that a lot of it is still happening on ETH, and as I've said, people are going to go to whatever chain is best for them. This didn't get enough global coverage, I don't think, compared to what it deserved. But just the fact that stuff like this happened within 24 hours, they're digging new wells and announcing they're getting into Bitcoin mining. The countries with nothing to lose, and it's kind of like, who's next? I said on that Ticker News interview, I expect someone else within a week to make this happen. And we're already hearing, someone like India say, why not? So I think it is going to happen. But what do we see at the same time? Biden saying, Bitcoin and crypto, we really need to crack down on because of ransomware. Seriously, like what % of crime in the world that we would need to worry about is ransomware and using crypto? Like it would just be so insignificant. It's not funny how they amplify these things. Senator Warren, if you want to get angry, watch this video. I think it's 5-7 minutes long, and just the whole thing is just full of misinformation. I wrote down a couple of quotes that she said in this interview here. One Bitcoin transaction. So when I send you some Bitcoin, apparently that uses more power than a US household does in a month. This is just stuff that's absolutely full of crap. Really does my head in. And then she starts talking positively about a central bank digital currency and how that would solve all the world's problems. But Bitcoin and crypto have no use case and no value. We need to crack down on them, basically. So, look, that's the narrative that they're going to try and push. We've got to expect this stuff and be up for the battle, guys. More old folks just talking about how bad technology is and we need to ban Bitcoin, rah, rah, rah. It's no coincidence that this is all happening as it's starting to get adoption in other countries. Now, the next thing they're coming for is stable coins. This is something that I've thought was a big possibility, that they start to regulate these and say that, you can't issue stable coins, you can't issue currencies, or that we're going to regulate them like stocks or bonds. So once again, what I've been talking about, becoming a DAO and having that decentralization around stable coins is going to become so important. Now, the other day I kind of touched on this negative funding, something we always look at, people turning short and paying to leverage short when things have gone down 50 to 70%. Just simple common sense. would you say to someone, would you want to pay to leverage something that's gone down 50 to 70%, or would the probabilities and mean reversion suggest it's going to go up at that point? So don't let your emotions get the better of you and you fear that when your portfolio is falling. But some of these projects I do think are candidates for a bounce. So we've got our Polkadots of the world. I think Polkadot and Kasama are about to launch more of their parachain auctions. Cardano's coming along now. It seems to get a bit of momentum. BNB got a bit of a slap on the wrist from Silvergate Bank, ended their relationship there as a massive on-ramp and said they won't be doing any dealings with Binance. So Binance price fell a bit. One, I guess, theme that I'm possibly looking to continue is FTT, so FTX's token. I think FTX are going to become probably the number one exchange, and Binance might fall out of favor a bit. So, a pairs trade might be short BNB, long FTT, or something like that. Other than that, look, huge amounts of money being thrown at DeFi for these other chains like EOS and Block One saying, we're getting into DeFi. We've got a $10 billion fund here. So some of these dino chains, as they're being called, coming back into favor. And I did kind of predict this at the start of the year, that money's going to just flow into these old, well-known, true cryptocurrencies. EOS have got a slap on the wrist, sure, but that probably gives them that more regulatory certainty that they're not, it's not unknown. It's kind of been dealt with. It's behind us now. So IOTA is another one. These projects that are still down, 80 or 90% from their highs, maybe not that much now. IOTA's up to $1, but still compared to these other coins that are making new all-time highs, these haven't been fallen in love with yet in this cycle, or haven't got a bit of a narrative and momentum. So I'm kind of watching for that to play out. Yeah, it's always darkest before the dawn. Look at the hate that I got in this tweet or my Facebook post saying now's a good time to buy crypto because things were down. There was blood in the streets and whatnot. And sure enough, we have a bounce when everyone's telling you're wrong. Solana is another one I really like. I think, again, momentum, projects springing up. They've got these huge funds, hundreds of millions of dollars being put together to fund startup projects. So yeah, that's a few little ideas in terms of the charts. Some of these are getting a bit of a bounce off that 61.8 after the big pullback. Maybe that was the bottom, and maybe we've had another bounce off here now. That's kind of what I'm watching, just looking at it, see if the TA aligns with some of these narratives, things like EOS only pulling back to the 50% retracement after that leg down, because it is so far, Litecoin here, it's had such a big pullback. EOS is pulling back, this trend line's coming in at the 78.6%, it's been beaten up. Cardano, look, that hasn't given a lot back because it is already kind of in favor. It's a very popular coin, particularly with new investors. So a few things to think about there. A few coins, oldies, as well as some of the new ones. Solana, Polkadot, Kasama. I've given you a hidden gem the other day to think about. I might have another one in the works. But other than that, guys, what I would finish on is Friday nights after messy and volatile weeks tend to be eventful. So traders, get in your trading chair tonight. I think we're either going to see a big negative news announcement or possible, sell-off in the stock market that drags down crypto or something like that. Or if we don't get anything too negative, maybe we get another, say, positive announcement, then things could really be lining up to break higher, leave a lot of traders behind that thought were going lower. A lot of people and a lot of traders, big Twitter personalities, YouTubers, said publicly that they'd sold or that they were short down here. And so all those people have to buy back at a time when the big boys at Mission Control are trying to push these negative narratives, trying to get people to sell. But the on-chain data is showing us that hodlers are holding, more coins are leaving exchanges than ever, going into hodl wallets, and people aren't sending coins to exchanges anymore. That's behind us. So fundamentals, technicals, and on-chain data, psychology, sentiment, it's starting to paint that picture that I think we're far closer to a bottom than people are worried about, and people aren't expecting a bull market or a leg higher, and that's when it can happen. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Boy, would love to see gold and silver and crypto all take off. The dollar looks like it wants to keep rolling over every time. It feels like possibly trying to put in a bottom. But that's it for me, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that update. I'll talk to you again soon. Cheers.